Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game I Dig guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Gamer's Thoughts video from me. And while this is following the discussion that I created about the Vic Mignogna situation, I'm not necessarily going to be talking about that in this. I'm really just like this concept, the title that you're looking at on the screen under the video. I've had this title in my head for the last 2.5 years for a video discussion concept. And I've been back and forth on it because there have been times I've started recording and then I just felt like what I was saying didn't really feel like it was suited to what I was trying to convey. So I'd start it up and then I'd stop again and then I'd start it up and then I'd stop again. Then I move on to something else and just work on other videos and other things that I could talk about and discuss. And then I come back to it again and I'm like, there's something telling me I need to do this. And it became ever prevalent in my head that it is just something I needed to talk about. It was something I needed to put out. And that's why I just kept coming back to it. So here's the thing. Social justice or socially justified. Now, people who will claim to be all for social justice in this day and age honestly aren't for actual social justice. They are for social justification of their actions, no matter what the situation is. That is, in general, what I see in front of me and what I've been witnessing with the Vic Mignogna situation and other situations prior to it. And one thing I realize when I hear a lot of the same types of accusations, that there are people that are rapists, that there are people that are pedophiles, that there are people who physically harm others, and that there are people who are blatantly well-known terrorizing threats to other humans, and that there are groups of people who have known these things for a decent amount of time. And then on top of that, it always comes off as hearsay. And I'm thinking about it, because a lot of these claims always fall with no sort of evidence, no sort of proof, nothing that can say with concrete certainty, this person did the things that are being claimed. And that is often the case. But then we also come across the situation where these same people who are making accusations about other people, they get accused of stuff themselves, and then somehow everything gets swept under the rug almost immediately, and we hear nothing else about it. So it always makes me wonder, if you were truly for social justice, you are truly looking to see that people who are doing harm and doing wrong are going to, one, be dealt with in a manner that is appropriate to the situation, and two, they are going to be punished for what they have done. But we don't normally see that with the Twitter outrage and all sorts of Tumblr posts, and people decide, we don't see that commonly enough, honestly. And then there are people who are actually attempting to actually find the evidence and find that the people that are doing wrong are criminally charged. There are people who do attempt that, but those voices get so squashed, they get so pushed down that it becomes almost impossible for them to perform their task that they have been trying. And again, with these situations, you can look online yourselves for a lot of the people with the Vic Mignogna situation, a lot of people that are accusing him of things. You can actually look at and see that they're either doing some things that are similar to that, what he was doing, where he was being friendly with other people, or they have actual court cases that they have to worry about now because their victims are actually pressing charges. Or they have actual proof from these particular people of things that they have said or done in a uncouth manner toward them. But that information gets squashed or pushed away very quickly and very discreetly. It's almost hidden. And then there are people who are shadow banned on Twitter. Like, yeah, it makes it like it's weird. Like, they're not fully banned, but they're banned to the point where their stuff doesn't pop up on regularly if somebody else shares it and stuff like that. So you actually have to have the link to what they're saying to actually be able to view it. It gets awfully suspicious. And again, like this points towards those people who make these accusations and these claims that have no actual evidence. Are you truly looking for social justice? Or are you looking for something that is socially justifiable for yourself so that you can feel like you've done something important, or so that you can feel like you have made the world a better place when all you've actually done is create a stain on it? That is the thing that has been back and forth in my head multiple times over and over again. And again, yes, I have had a difficult time conveying that, getting those words out in a way that I feel was appropriate without losing my cool, without going off on a tangent, without being agitated and angry, because this is something that does bother me to my core as a person, because it affects the future that my children have to deal with. And that is my problem with it. It affects the way that my children will be able to interact with other people, to be able to interact with their own friends, to be able to even interact with each other in the future of their lives. And it just bothers me that there are so many people who are out there trying to ruin any sort of goodwill on this planet by doing the things that they're currently doing. It makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. It makes me want to it makes me want to yell and scream as loud as I can until my vocal cords are so shredded I don't have a voice. And even right now, like, I'm calming myself mentally at the same time I'm speaking. And that is a very difficult task to do with something that is this heavy of an issue, is something that is this big, and is something that can be this destructive to a person's life. And I think about my son a lot. Like, and he's a very friendly kid. He jokes around a lot though, and he's extremely playful. And I can see how people could misconstrue some of the things that he may do later on in life, where he's just trying to be friendly or just have fun with people, or trying to show them like, hey, lighten up. Now, if we keep up with this situation, you can't give a person a hug, you can't shake a hand, you can't wrap an arm around a person for a picture. We're going to get to a point where people can't interact with each other properly, and they won't know how to speak to each other. And any little thing can be seen as offensive or derogatory or destructive, even when there is no ill intention, there is no ill will, and no one is trying to harm anyone. That is the perception that is being laid out across the world through social media right now. And there are people who are benefiting from this, that want to see the rest of us suffer from this. And there are people who are like me, who, for the most part, have taken a neutral standpoint on things and just try to get their thoughts out and let people try to tell people what they see. And then there are people who are there fighting this constantly, one way or another, by getting the proof or disproving what is basically being falsified information. But there's also my eldest daughter. She's also very playful. She's like very interactive with people. And I've seen it happen before where she's said or done something, not with the intention to harm anyone, but She said or done something and it's been taken the wrong way. And I see where she's coming from. I know where she's coming from. And like, and I feel bad that I have to sometimes tell her, like, you have to dial things back. You have to pull yourself back some, because not everybody's going to understand things the way I do with you. Not everybody's going to see things the way I do with you, because I know what you're intending. I know what you're trying to show them. I know what you're trying to do, but they don't. And until they are accepting of how you are as a person, they're not going to give you that benefit of the doubt. They're going to take offense. They're going to be agitated. And then something is going to happen where you are on the bad side of this coin. You are on the dark side of that moon. And looking at that, like, that makes me worry about that for all of my kids, all of them. That one day they can't properly interact with other people because if you smile at somebody, you're sexually harassing them. You just give somebody a high five, well, you've just raped them. These are things that don't need to happen. And on top of that, on top of making people far more stressed out and causing anxiety in ways that they don't need to have happen, you're also ruining the meaning of these words. You're taking the power away from these words. You're destroying what they stand for and why they were created in the first place. And when you do that, when you demean these words, when you take the power away from them, when you weaken them the way that these people are, you literally create a world of chaos, because there's no organization. There's nothing to stand in place so people know what's right and wrong. There's nothing to stand in place so that people know what boundaries not to cross, because they'll always be worried, like, well, what did I do that hurt this person? All I said was hello. All I did was hold a door open and try to be kind. That is a world I don't want to see. And that's the world that we're falling into. And it's just one of those things where I just, like, it boggles my mind. Because I'm in general a very nice person. I'm just generally nice to people. I don't mean anyone any ill will unless they've done something to me or done something that I feel is harmful towards me or my family. That's how I am. Now, I mean, if I see someone do something stupid, yeah, I'm going to call it out. Like, if I see someone do something extremely dumb, I'm going to call it out. But the way these situations are boiling down, like, it's just becoming that the most extreme of things is being said to be the norm, which isn't the case. And again, that weakens the power of the words that you're giving. That weakens the power of the meaning of these words. And on top of that, when someone actually does go through these things and they actually are harmed by someone and they go to seek out help, they won't have any. They won't be able to find help. They'll be left on their own because there'll be people too afraid to help them, because they'll be worried that it'll come back and bite them in the behind later on. That is a world that I despise. That is a world that I hate. With every fiber of my being, with every beat of my heart, with the blood that pumps through my veins, it infuriates me. Because this is a world that will leave you to die. This is a world that will kill you. Simply because there's no one there if you actually need them. Because everyone's going to be too afraid to do anything positive for another person. They're going to be too afraid to help another person. They're going to be too afraid to stand up for someone else. and I hate it. So for all of you people who claim to be social justice warriors, you really, really misuse that term. No, you really, truly are not what the definition of each of those words should actually be. What you are is people who are socially justified whiners. That is what an SJW actually is, a socially justified whiner. And there's a reason that I'm putting it into those terms. Because you complain about things that literally have no actual effect on anyone and make that out to be the most harmful thing on the planet. And then you destroy the work and the time and energy that people have put into projects and things that they love, and take that away from them and tell them that they're wrong because they're not like you. They're wrong because they don't think like you. They're wrong because they don't want to be like you. Because being an individual person is a bad thing. Having your own thoughts is a bad thing. And if you think on your own, then you are a problem to the planet, which is actually the exact opposite. And the reason that we have so many great things on the face of this planet is because there were so many people who thought individually about something. They got passionate about something. They poured their energy, their heart, their soul, their blood, their sweat, their tears, their lives into these things. And you want to take that from them to make everything uniform to how you would like it to be. And for that, as I've said before, I hate and despise it. I loathe it. And if anything that I can do, anything at all, to put this shit to rest, I'm going to. Because looking at what's coming and how it's going to harm the people that I love and care about, and the people that I'm close to, this is more like the awakening of a sleeping lion. And these are things that I'm going to start spending some time looking into, and I'm going to start doing more research on. And I fault myself for not doing it before. I should have been. And I didn't. And that was my failure. I'm not letting it go anymore. I'm going to look into these situations. I'm going to use actual logic and critical thinking. The things that these people are trying to take away from the world, logic and critical thinking. I'm going to use those things. And I'm going to show people how to use those things. Especially my kids. They are going to be some of the most logical and intelligent people on this planet. Simply because they will not immediately fall to the bullcrap that falls in front of them. They're going to be skeptical of everything. And they're going to be skeptical, rightfully so. I don't want to see all of the positive things that actually happen on this planet be destroyed by people who are idiotic, who are overly emotional, who will turn anything into a negative situation and completely take things out of context when there is nothing wrong happening. So, now that I've gotten all of that out, and this will be posted at midnight, February 15th. Now that I've gotten all of that out, I'm going to start doing some research on some stuff. And I'm going to start looking into some things and some laws and stuff so that I can be better prepared and be ready, more mindful of things that are going on. As if more people who are kind-hearted and just generally gentle souls start to suffer it's only a short while before it really hits home, and everything that I see in front of me that I care about falls to dust. But I'm done. So thank you everybody for listening. I know you hear this rant and you're probably wondering what's really gotten into me, and I hope that I conveyed that properly as best as I could. It's just I've been back, like I said, I've been back and forth on it, and I don't think really anything I had to say before had the energy and the power behind it that I really wanted it to have until just now. And I hope that this really stuck with everyone, that it got into your head and it got into your hearts in some way, and that people listened. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please just enjoy your life and don't let negative people destroy the positive things that you have in your life for you. That's it. Goodbye.